Hey everybody, I am Judah. This is my brother Reuben.
Hello!
We are going to look over some photos and talk about a trip we took back in
1911! Very good year.
Back in 2019, the year before the big deception. Let's see if that gets me canceled saying that. What we're doing now is our very second trip. We went to Zion National Park. My dad, Sue, my sister Catrice, Gabby, me, and then halfway through the trip, Reuben made it there. Now, Zion is kind of an interesting place, whereas you can't drive around. They have a parking lot, you park there, and then they have a bus that drives you along one road, takes you up to the top, and comes back down. First couple days, like I said, Reuben was not there. We did some amazing trails. The visitor center there has some brass statues set up outside, and obviously everybody and their dog is touching these brass statues in inappropriate places. So you have
dogs even.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you have these very dark statues, and they have very specific spots that are very shiny from everybody touching them. I think it was the nipples in particular that I'm remembering on.
Shiny nips.
Yeah, everybody gotta give those a little twist in it. At one point, on the first trail that we did, I was taking a photo of my dad and my sister, and my dad just licked her face. And these people were walking by, and my sister's like, "Oh God, gross," and everything. And these people are like, "What's going on?" And I just can imagine the weirdness, and I licked her face. It's just the whole not knowing context of anything, understanding the father-daughter relationship, I don't know, it was quite humorous. We flew into Nevada, we rented a car, and then we drove to Zion National Park. We stopped at a gas station, and I got some dried mango, which I was really excited about. I went out into the car and eating them, and I realized I made a big mistake because it was dried mango with hot peppers.
Oh!
So it had hot pepper sprinkled on top of it, and I'm not a big fan of spicy things. And I was super bummed because it was $6 for this bag. I was annoyed and frustrated, and I'm in there eating them still because I'm I spent money on this. And then I asked Catrice if she wanted some, not telling her, wanting her to experience it the same way I did, which was thinking it was just dried mango. It's "Hey Catrice, you want some of this mango?" And she's like, "No." And I was all and she was like, "Okay." And so she grabs a piece and she starts eating it. And again, this is just something that's funny to me. You don't need to find it funny whatsoever. She's eating it. And she just starts going. She's kind of stopped, and it's just kind of looking up, and she's like, "Is there something else on this mango?" And I'm just dying laughing, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And then I showed her that it was spicy mango, and she was just like, "You jerk!" Did a sis thing and punched me in the arm or whatever. But it was really funny, and I'm pretty sure that I had given up on that, and I was like, "I'm not eating this stuff anymore. It's just too hot for me." And I'm pretty sure that when Reuben wasn't looking, I just slipped the rest of the bag into the last day. I slipped the rest of it into his cooler. It was just we'll let that go with Reuben.
Yep.
And I do think later on I got a text message from him saying, "Oh, thanks for the mango."
Yeah.
But did you eat that?
I'm pretty sure I did, yeah.
Okay, well that's cool. So why don't you fill us in on your experience of making it out there? Because you live in Oregon, so you just decided to drive out to meet us.
Yes, what I looked it up online, from Southern Oregon to Zion National Park was quoted to be a 12-hour journey. I say, that's all right, I can make that. I used to drive across the country alone, and it's a 20 or 31-hour drive from Oregon to here. And I thought 12 hours is no big deal. So I noticed something kind of was askew when leaving Ashland and kind of having an out-of-body experience and just coming to, which ought to have been, coming to pulling into a rest stop that should have been a 2-hour drive from Southern Oregon to Northern California, this rest stop. And I looked at the clock, and already 4.5, almost 5 hours had passed in what should have been a 2-hour drive. So I'm pulling in, and I'm like, well, maybe I need to sleep. Did I sleep that whole time while I was driving? So I think I got myself a half an hour sleep, or nap or something, and thought, I'm all right, I'm ready to go. Already somehow almost halfway through the allotted 12 hours that this trip was supposed to take. Now, I don't remember all of the routes. I'm having some deja vu as I'm driving it, and come to find out that years before I had driven that same route in reverse. So that's why everything's looking really familiar, but somehow a little bit off because I'm seeing it the other direction. This route takes you close to Las Vegas and a big stretch on something called the extraterrestrial highway. Now, this is where things got pretty strange. I already think at this point I'm nearing maybe 15 hours, maybe 16 hours into the 12-hour journey. And the extraterrestrial highway is about 100 miles of no service. So there's no gas stations, there's nothing there. You've got signposts that have little decals of cows getting abducted. It's right next to Area 51, right across the way. I stopped and looked at some Joshua trees for a little bit and then looked in the distance and noticed 6 or 7 black vehicles just kicking up dust way off in the distance. And I didn't see where they came from, so I hopped back in my car and I kept on going because I don't want to get caught out there with black unmarked vehicles because that's a creepy situation. So I keep going, and luckily I make it through the extraterrestrial highway, and right at the very end of it, my Prius just stops working. It dies right at the end of this 100 miles, and I think, well, that's fortunate. And I'm able to start it up again, but it won't go any faster than 5 miles an hour. So now I'm in the middle of a desert, being able to drive 5 miles an hour, and I think that I'm still maybe 2 or 3 hours from the destination. The car's just not driving. It's late at night, it's past midnight, and it's still hot as can be because it's the desert. I end up pulling off the road and resting for a little bit, letting the car cool down because all I can think of is it's overheated. And I end up being able to inch my way to a gas station where I check the hood, and 100% of the oil in the vehicle is gone. Now, I got an oil change before this, so my theory is that somewhere on that extraterrestrial highway, these extraterrestrials, where the name came from, were trying to zap me up. And somebody leaned on the remote, the control, the director, and all they zapped up was this oil, this goo. And so they get it up there, and the commander's like, "What'd you do? You liquefied him. We wanted that specimen. Oh, we got his thing. Who was on controls?
I don't know where to probe this thing yet."
Yeah, I thought you said this was a human. All I have is this oil spill. So the alien zapped up all the oil out of my Prius. Luckily, it wasn't me. Or maybe I did. Who knows?
I mean, there was some time loss.
There was time loss. So in the end, it took me almost 22 to 25 hours to get. There was an extra 13 hours there somehow. Almost a whole entire day, which was a begrudging to me because I want to get with my family. I'm pretty sure I made it. I think I'm still the same person that started that drive. I could be a replacement. I'm not sure. I'm okay with either one of them because my life has not been so shabby since then. And things have been strange, but they've always been strange. And so that was my adventure. Near miss of alien abduction, or like I said, maybe they needed some oil to lubricate their probing machine, or to lubricate something, so they sucked that up as well. Yeah. They ran out of stuff on ship.
There you go.
And I haven't been able to sit quite right.
That story. This is real within context of reality. Is a perfect lead-in to letting you know about my second channel, which is Creepin' It Real on Rumble. That is Creepin' It Real. That's Creepin' It with a C, Real as an R-E-E-L. We reviewed Fried Berry, which very much coincides in a way with the story that Reuben just told about what he experienced. So if you're interested in horror movies, very weird, freaky movies, go check out that station, like and subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. From here, we're going to get into our Zion trip. he did make it. We were thrilled that he finally came and was able to join us in this adventure. When I have mentioned in other videos, at some point I just started looking for dangerous or most exciting trails in the U.S. And Angel's Landing is like number one on the list that you will generally find. If it's not, it's going to be somewhere within the top 5 for sure. So that's what attracted me to Zion. It's like, I got to do this Angel's Landing. But also, the Narrows is very highly suggested, not as far as dangerous trails go, but just like amazing, beautiful trails. And you need walking sticks if you want to be smart, and you need your water shoes to do this. And so there was a lot of planning on our part about making sure we were prepared to do the Narrows. And I was really excited, but I actually enjoyed the trail that led up to the Narrows trailhead more than the Narrows. You didn't get to do that.
I did not,
okay.
no.
And my sister, she was a wimp, and she stayed home for some whatever reason. So me, Gabby, my dad, and Sue went and did the Narrows, and it was difficult. I mean, it was interesting being, walking in that. It's also kind of scary understanding. This is where I learned for the first time that in the weather, when they tell you that there's like a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% chance of rain, they are not saying to you that the whole area that you're in has a 10% chance of rain. So there's like a 90% chance it's not going to rain. What they are actually saying is 10% of this area is 100% going to get rain. That's what that actually means. And they have, when you're in the shuttles, they have radio things that are explaining this to you, because if you do not want to get caught in the Narrows during the flash flood. There was a percentage of rain, and so we were racing against time because they said that it wouldn't start until a certain time of day. So we just wanted to make sure we were safe and we didn't get caught down there. Again, it was an interesting trail that if I had the opportunity, I'm not going to plan a trip to go and do this, but if there was just for some reason I was there, I'd probably do it again. Yeah. I'd have different shoes. I got water. I had water shoes, but they did not go up my ankles, and they would slip a lot. So I'd be walking on rocks, and then the shoe would just like slip to the side of my foot. Correct. So my ankles were not feeling good. My feet were getting hurt really bad. Definitely some kind of a high top water shoe I would suggest highly. It was cool, and Gabby and I, based on the time, we kept saying, okay, let's go to the next island. There aren't islands, but it's a narrow river through ravine, very tall. Almost like a canyon. Yeah. It is a canyon. Yeah. They're called Narrows. And so there's all this rushing water, sometimes up to your waist, sometimes your knee, Cool. And so we would be like, okay, let's go to the next island. Let's go to the next, which were just places in the center of the rushing water because we wanted to see something amazing. The whole thing was amazing, but we were really looking for something to knock our socks off, which we never really felt. And we just, at the end of it, we were just kind of like, yeah, that trail is cool, but the difficulty of walking in the water with the big rocks and your feet getting caught it really was kind of like, whatever. When we were finally turned back around, because like I mentioned, Sue was with us, and Sue is very much wants to think everything through and make sure that everything is taken care of and that there's not going to be any kind of mishaps or anything. So she's very concerned about the timing and making sure we don't get caught in any kind of flash floods. So we turn around based off her kind of being like, I don't know, I don't think we have any more time. We should really turn around now. And we're going back. And Zion obviously attracts a ton of worldwide visitors. And we borrowed some trekking poles, and we were using those. Very helpful keeping yourself from killing yourself. And there was some people that were trying to do it without any kind of poles. And this is like insane. So there's like this group of Asian people, and there's this guy that's about my dad's age, Asian dude, walking through, and in his best English was like, I'm not making fun of anybody, I'm just giving it the way it was. He was like, you good worker, you let me have sticks? And was like, sorry, I borrowed these. I can't give these to you. And we're laughing about it. We're like, you good worker, what does that mean? And we kind of finally thought, he was probably trying to say, you like a good Samaritan.
Yes.
You do good things. You're gonna let me borrow these sticks, right? And so that was pretty hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. We enjoyed that. And that's no slang, dude. If the guy knew a second language, fantastic. I can only speak English and barely. So good on him for being able to speak English, at least somewhat.
Yeah.
It's no mockery towards him whatsoever. We did Angel's Landing together.
Yes.
And we decided that we were gonna go super early.
Oh yeah.
Before the shuttles even started.
Oh, that's right.
We weren't the only ones. We get there and the parking lot is filling up.
Mm-hmm.